Chrissie Barker Latto, aged 71, was born on New Year's Day 1915 during the First World War. Her father had to leave for France shortly after she was born. Therefore, the family photographs had to be fixed to include him. Chrissie has lived in Buckhaven all her life. Her grandparents were fisher folk.
My grandfather on my mother's side was a fisherman. That's how he met my grandmother when he came to Buckhaven with the boats. He came from Sutherland.
They stayed in their own cottage down East High Street near the shore. Chrissie doesn't remember much about them as she was still very young when they died, the fishing being well into decline before she was born. Chrissie's mother, like many other young single girls of that time, went into domestic service.
Before she was married, she went to the service in Edinburgh. You know, when they used to go into what they called the service, like working for ladies. That's, in Edinburgh. It was they were right ladies she worked with. They thought the world of her. In fact, I have a brooch that they gave her. My mother used to always put the old lady the brooch on her shawl, and after she died, the other one gave my mother this, knowing that she would treasure it. It was a lovely gold brooch.
Unfortunately, her sister died, leaving 6 children. She had to give up her job and come to Buckhaven to look after them.
So when it was her sister died, she was only 31, a young woman, and she left 6 of her family, and there was an old aunt who used to stay with them. So my mother was brought home and she looked after them, and I mean she was just a young woman to come from a nice job like that and to do that. It was some heart, a big heart to do that. She kept them until she married again.
By fate, Christie's mother married the brother of her brother-in-law's new wife.
Yes, it was through that my father's sister that she met my father. She worked on that farms, you see, at Percival. I got married after that. It was the 3 boys and myself.
After he was married, Christie's father went down the pit at Murridge, and that's where they stayed. But eventually he got a job with the town driving the dust cart.
He was a miner to begin with. Well, he was on the land and then he came here with a job and he mines. But it wasn't to his heart. His heart wasn't really in it. And of course, it was the country life that he liked and he got a job. It was the town. I have photos there. They had the horse and cart, then. They came round with the vans. Now the town, lifting men. He got the horse and cart, and that was more his line. And he was the last person, the last horse in the town.
He took great pride in his horse, often entering it for competitions.
He used to go on parade. I've photos there. He won a lot of prizes. They used to dress up the horses, all dressed up and brushed their silver and.
Christie has many happy memories as a child visiting her father and the horses at the stables in Buckhaven.
You'll know where the technical college is across the road, where the houses are, but that's where they had the stables at the back. It was the old post office and they had the fire engine there and they had the stables belonging to the broth. That's where they where he always went up to, and he used to feed the horse, and we used to, I maybe shouldn't say this, but we called it locust. You know, the stuff, it was like that. Long and it was chewy. Oh, we thought it was sweet and it got a bit of chew.
When I pressed her more closely about this mysterious, sweet-tasting horse food, Chrissie owned up.
It was for feeding the horses, you see, but it was a stick, you know, and it was very, very sweet, and it was awfully good. You got a nice bit of chew, and it, of course, we were nae very old at that time. We used to pinch a bit here and there.
Christie grew up a tomboy, owning to the fact that she has had older brothers.
Everything that I did was all mechanical. The things I was sorting was all boys' things that I used to do. And even my mother had a hair in the side, you know. They used to call it the side sheet. You know, a boy's and my hair was put in a pigtails and then his was buttoned and it was buttoned the boy's ways, so I think she must have thought I was a boy too.
Christie, however, has very happy memories of the home her family moved to with one of her uncles down East High Street. The links at the far end of the East High Street was already covered with slag from the Wellesley pit. She went to Buckhaven Primary School and then to the high school, which is now the gardens in front of the technical college. When she left school, she went to work at the cooperative and eventually worked for the Cooperative Wholesalers Society in the Sandwell Street branch until she retired. Christie had a famous uncle called Alexander Mackey, who in his lifetime was an elder at the Marriage Church, a provost, and a justice of the peace. He was also given the honour of the first freeman of the town for the work he did for the Buckhaven and Methil area. Christie remembers that they held a function for him at the Denbigh Institute, where everybody was invited. He gained this honour mainly for trying to gain compensation for the families of war victims during the Second World War when there were no pension schemes. He also tried to fight to keep the harbour open and the beach cleared.
He was trying to fight for the beach. He kept it and to get it cleared up and stop they were putting what we called reed. He waste, well, it was all gone on the beach, and he fought for years trying to get it stopped for the beach would be cleared. And he tried to keep the harbour and the pond, and his was all he was writing to us. He was in London.
Unfortunately, Mackey wasn't successful in his attempt to save the sands, and the harbour was too far gone, filled with reed. Chrissie looks on the disappearance of the lovely sands with regret because they brought a lot of visitors into Buckhaven, where social activity centred around the nest brace skirting the beach and harbour.
The visitors came coming to Buckhaven station. That and it was usually a Thursday or the weekend that they all came. It was a great thing to do up and see them all coming off the train. It was all mostly Glasgow people. They were very, very cheery people. They used to have all the tents on top of the braes. They were covered with tents, a lot of young boys, camping out.
The visitors to the braes were entertained by the pirates and the lifeboat Isabella, which gave an exhibition every summer until the harbour silted up.